Welcome back to the Upper Echelon Podcast where we keep it real and we keep it jiggy over here. Cause why? Cause we ain't never ever scared. Hit that like button on your way in. Make sure you hit the notification bell and also make sure that you're subscribed to my channel if you have not done so already. We're gonna talk about a couple topics, y'all. I wasn't even gonna go live for real, but then I said, you know what? I said I'm gonna go live, so let me go ahead and do what I said I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about a couple topics today. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time because I know in my title it says Kevin Wesley, because I do want to talk a little bit about the situation with Kevin and Ringo TV on YouTube. I don't really want to get too much into the specifics of it, like who was right, who was wrong, so on and so forth. But I do want to talk about the after effects of it. So you guys will see what I'm talking about when I get into my commentary. But let me go ahead and say hello to everybody coming into the room. What's going on? Hey, Rebecca Belton. Sabi, what's going on? Hey, D Ham. Hey, Blueberry Boots. Sweet Too, what's going on, Shot Town? I see you good. What's going on, Vet? Teresa Frazier, Batinda, Penny J. What's going on, Boo? Sharon Jones. Hey, Danny. Danny said I was just watching the old replay. Well, I'm glad, and y'all do that. That helps out too when you guys watch our old videos. That's very beneficial to us as well. So I appreciate you, Danny. Hey, Cheryl Wagner. Hey, Nina Edwards. Um, I'm I can't, I'm Amy. I think that's what it says. What's going on? Hey, Angela. I'm packing up to move. Hopefully, you'll keep me awake. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my best to keep you entertained. I think it's a lot going on in entertainment news right now. So we got a couple things to talk about. Hey, Sonia Wright, Lativia, Cheryl Wagner, Angela Wilborn. Hope I pronounced that right. Hey, Candy Kisses. Caramel Cutie, Sweet Queen. Let's see. Okay, I think I got everybody. I'm pretty sure I got everybody. Okay, so let's get into the topic, y'all. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the situation with Ringo TV and Kevin, but I didn't get a chance to really speak on it the other day. So I do want to say a couple of things regarding that situation. Now, I did make a post on my community wall, and I made that post because I paid attention to what happened yesterday regarding their little spat that they had. And then I paid attention to what went down today. And it really made me think about the back and forth that goes on within this sector. And the back and forth, not just with Kevin or what he has going on with the people that he's beefing with, or I wouldn't even say that. I would say with the people that's beefing with him, because Kevin don't be paying these folk no mind, okay? But what I will say is that I can appreciate. Now, I don't necessarily agree with what Ringo said. Uh, he did make some good points, not necessarily regarding like the situation that he had going on with Kevin, but I did listen to a little bit of what Ringo had to say. Hold on one second, y'all. Give me a moment. Let me go close this. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. I did not agree necessarily with everything that he had to say, but he did make some good points. One of the things that Ringo said that I did agree with was the fact that when you put something on social media, everything becomes content. So the reason why that particular part stuck out to me is because I found it so interesting that of all people, Brianna supporters and the content creators that support Brianna, who have created this little gang amongst themselves or this little crew amongst themselves, um, They don't seem to understand that. So I found it interesting that they were in favor of all the things that Ringo was saying, but they were missing some of the things that he was saying that definitely applied to them. Um, we see that during this saga, we have not had the opportunity to express ourselves and have an opinion, and cover the people that we're covering without being harassed, content being made on us, backgrounds being pulled. So he did make some good points when he said that when something is placed on social media, it's free game and it's content, and anybody really has the right, if you're a content creator, to cover it. So what I saw there, because I saw a lot of Breonna supporters in favor of what he was saying, um, they were only in favor of it because he was saying negative things regarding Kevin Wesley in that same live. So what that shows me is that at this point, a lot of the content creators in this sector really, in my opinion, don't even have any business being content creators. That's just my opinion, and that's just what I'm going to say. And the reason I say that is because you cannot take one story, which is the LaTruth saga. You can't take one story, and from that one story, it determines your thoughts and opinions on everything else moving forward, regardless of the topic. So, and that's what's been going on. Just because they don't like Kevin, just due to the saga, anything or anybody that says anything negative about anybody that they don't like, that's connected to the truth, that's connected to Kevin, they are automatically going to start to like their content, or they're automatically going to start saying, oh, they're a great content creator, not because they genuinely believe and are in agreement with everything that that content creator is saying, but just because they're in agreement with the fact that that particular content creator is having a riff or some sort of spat with Kevin or LaTruth or whoever else. And to me, that's not genuine at all, because you're not genuinely watching the content, listening to the content, and giving your honest opinion about what you're hearing. You're just hearing one thing. Oh, this person is going back and forth with Kevin, and that's enough for me. To me, that's disingenuous. We saw previously, and this is beyond obvious at this point, right? Because previously, Ringo had did a live about the siblings. He did a live regarding Toya, Kevin, Dawn, all of them, right? So he did a live regarding the siblings. And when he did that live, he was pretty neutral in his stance. He basically did not take a side, and he was giving advice as to these siblings need to block out all of the noise. They need to block out all of the people that are commentating on what their situation is, because there's people on social media that will purposely say things and do things to try to make a situation worse. Why? Because it creates content for them. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's because it creates content for them, and sometimes it's because these people have become so emotionally involved in this internet story to the point where they really feel like they have created or gained real life enemies in a situation that they don't know anyone. So a lot of these people are only blogging, and I said this before a while ago, I don't know if y'all remember, some of these people now that are blogging against Kevin, or that are blogging against LaTruth, that were initially in favor of Kevin and LaTruth, and they were actually blogging against Breonna at one point, are only doing that because they have gotten their feelings hurt. If you look at each and every last one of the content creators that are no longer in support of Kevin, LaTruth, Don, or his family, something happened there where they felt like something personal happened. Anytime you in a situation where you're blogging and you're covering a topic, or you're supposed to be professional, it has nothing to do with anything personal. You're supposed to look at the story, cover it, and move on. But a lot of people have gotten their feelings hurt. We've seen people sit on their panels and cry over Kevin. It's been a lot of weird stuff going on, and I think that people have gotten so invested that they're not even listening and being objective and trying to understand the content. All they know is I'm mad with this person who's a content creator. And so whoever else that is a content creator that says anything negative about this person, automatically I'm going to like them. If you remember weeks ago, the people that are now saying that Ringo is this great content creator, and they're giving him his kudos, and they're being cordial with him and speaking so highly of him, these same foolish people were just dragging him for his opinion a couple of weeks ago. There's no erasing that. There's no taking that away. There's no excusing that. There's no excuse for you dragging a content creator 2 weeks ago. And just because he's now saying that he is having an issue with somebody that you don't like, now all of a sudden he walks on water. That is not a content creator. That is somebody that is emotionally and personally invested, and they are not listening to the content, and they're not breaking anything down. They're strictly moving off of their emotions. So it couldn't be more obvious to me. Let me see. Oh, thank you, Latte Eminem. I appreciate that super sticker or super chat. She says, speaking, thank you. Here's to the content. Thank you so much, boo. Terry Dow, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. So, and we've all been guilty of it, but the thing about it is we have to be honest with ourselves. There's just no way in the world that you can sit on a panel, break down somebody's content, and criticize it only because he is not in agreement or alignment with your thoughts and opinions on someone, and then come back and totally change your mind about that content creator because they're now what you, I guess, would consider be bashing somebody that you don't like. That's ridiculous. It's disingenuous. It's not real. And I just can't get jiggy with that. But let me say this before I move on from this topic, because I ain't gonna spend all night talking about it. I want to say this too. Even though I totally disagree with what Ringo said and did, what I can say is that I appreciate seeing two content creators go back and forth on one day, okay? Do a live one. I want to say Ringo did a live critiquing Kevin and giving Amora a shout out because he liked the way that she broke the content down. Okay, right after that, Kevin responded. Ringo responded back because he felt that Kevin's response was disrespectful. I'm not going to give my opinion on what I think about it because it doesn't even matter at this point. And then right after that, Kevin responded to him. Here we are, the first of the month, and we didn't hear anything from either Kevin or Ringo about the situation. Let me just say that I really appreciate it being handled that way. Sometimes as content creators, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to beef. We're not going to get along. We're not going to like each other. But how childish is it to drag on a situation or a beef for years and years and years and years, day after day after day after day, the same thing over and over and over and over again? It's silly at this point. So even though I didn't agree with Ringo, and of course I'm more leaning towards what Kevin said, I can still give both of those gentlemen their props and saying I can appreciate that y'all had a disagreement and y'all moving the fuck on. Because for somebody to even follow a content creator or support a content creator that goes live every single day saying the same thing, presenting the same behavior, throwing out the same insults, saying the same catchphrases, it's like, well, God, when are we going to offer somebody something different? And it really speaks on not only the intellectual capacity of the content creator that's going live every day with the same bullshit every damn day, but it also speaks on the intellectual capacity of the followers of that content creator, because only a foolish person would even give a content creator their time of day if they're offering the same bullshit every day. Let's be for real. Every day. You're not offering any type of breakdowns of any type of stories. You're not giving your content, your supporters anything of any substance. Every day is the same fifth grade elementary rhetoric. And then you have your people who actually pay to hear it. And that's the reason why I call my supporters the intellectuals, because the people that support me would never accept for me to come live every single day, 5 to 6 days a week, yelling at the same person, screaming the same curse words, saying the same shit every damn day. My supporters are not going to accept that foolishness. And I think that you all expect more from me, and I understand, and I expect more from y'all. So I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's social media, it's YouTube. People like what they like, but we got to call a thing a thing. It's disgusting, is what it is. It's disgusting. So back to what I was saying. It's good. This really shows who the content creators are here. If you can get into it with somebody and then just move, y'all have y'all words, no matter how nasty those, excuse me, no matter how nasty those words are, and then you can move on. It shows that you don't have time to continue to go back and forth in that way, because there's other things that you want to offer to your audience. There's other things that's waiting, that you've been working on, that you have to present. But when you don't have any material, and you don't have any talent, and you haven't done any research, and you're not capable of breaking down the story, and you're not capable of keeping your audience entertained without elementary rhetoric every day, well, then of course you're going to do that every day, because that's all you have. So it shows me that Ringo got stuff that he needs to do. He got content that he needs to present, and he have things that he needs to get to. It shows me that Kevin has content that he needs to present. He has things that he needs to do. He has stories that he wants to tell his audience. Neither one of these gentlemen have time to go back and forth in that manner. On the flip side of it, we know that Kevin has also been being followed around the internet by another gentleman for almost 10 years regarding a situation that happened at a party almost 10 years ago. That is not normal. Now, that particular content creator, we know that he doesn't have anything to offer, nothing more than some foolish rhetoric. And that's all he has. And that's the reason why he has the time in a day to continue to follow Kevin around the internet and harass him on a daily basis, because he doesn't have anything else to offer to his audience. Okay. What we saw between Ringo and Kevin is what you would call a normal dispute. They don't like each other. Well, I ain't gonna say they don't like each other. I ain't gonna put that into the atmosphere, but I'll say that they had a disagreement. It got nasty, and they moved the fuck on. Awesome example of how things should be going on this here internet, on this platform. I want to talk to the supporters. If you are in support of someone and they say they love you as their supporter, but they don't think enough of you to give you something else other than bullshit every day, you are being cheated and you are being scammed. And if you can't see it at this point, then I don't know what else to tell you. Now, let's move on. Covered that topic. What's going on, everybody coming in? Who's in here that I missed? What's going on, Cretia? Hey, Robin, Buttercup, Rebecca, Castriel. I really love that name. Sweet Queen says, thank you, because I thought I was the only person thinking the same thing every day. Every day. I want to say it might have been Brina. She made a really good example. It might have been Brina, where she said, don't you know how you go to different television networks, and there's one television network where you know that every time you go there, you're gonna get crime TV, or they're gonna be playing cops all day long. You go to another station, you know they're gonna be the home shopping network. You know you're gonna go there because it's the home shopping network. Some of these channels are like that. Like every time you go there, you already know before you even hit the live button, you know what they're going to be doing. They're going to be hollering, they're going to be screaming, they're going to be acting a damn fool, they're going to be acting like they're under the influence or something. We just don't. It's the same thing every day. I don't want anybody to ever click on my live and get the same thing every day. That's crazy to me. Angela said, did you get the Cash App upper? I don't. Let me see. Thank you. Let me check. I wasn't looking. Give me a moment. It just came through. Thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate you, boo. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't want to be one of those channels. I got a lot of growing to do on my platform, but I don't want to be one of those channels that, I want you to know what to expect to a certain extent. Like you come to my channel, I want you to know to expect, oh, she's probably going to be breaking down entertainment news, or she's probably going to be talking about a court case, or she's probably going to be, maybe she's talking about the saga, or maybe some Brianna did. And that's okay. But I don't ever want anybody to say, oh, I'm going to go to the Upper Echelon podcast. Oh, she live. She over there cussing and hollering. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. So let me see. Sweet Queen said there's something mentally wrong with a person that does that every day. It really is. And so I told myself, I'm done arguing with endangered species, nocturnal animals, horses and donkeys, because this is not the Animal Planet channel. This is the Upper Echelon podcast. So moving forward, I'm just going to be doing what I do best, right? So we're going to move forward to the next topic. I don't know if y'all saw what happened with Remy Ma today, y'all, but Remy Ma seems to disappoint me every time. She seems to disappoint me every time. I expect so much more from her. Y'all know Remy Ma was locked up for a little bit. And you would think that she would have learned her lesson, right? Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Remy Ma was briefly apprehended today in front of the courthouse because she was on her way to her son's trial. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, her son's name is Jason Scott. He was arrested on 2 counts, I believe, of unaliving in Queens, New York. So what I want to do is I'm going to play this video for you guys because I want y'all to see how she was acting outside the courtroom. In this video, the victim of the man who her son is accused of unaliving, that man's daughter was outside of the courtroom. And she basically is saying that Remy had all type of attitude with her as if she had done something to her, and not acknowledging the fact that Remy, your son unalived my father. I can't talk to my father anymore. I can't speak to my father anymore. So that caused a conflict between those 2 ladies. And so I'm going to play that video. And then I also want to, let's see, what did I do with it? Let's see. I also want to read y'all this article on queensda.org just to give you guys a brief overview of what exactly her son is accused of doing. It's an unaliving for hire case. I guess like mother like son. Thank you, Josephine Edmonds, for that super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's see.
Got into an argument.
Turn around.
Like your mother's ugly?
Turn around.
Like your mother's ugly?
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Oh, okay.
Just watch.
Yeah, okay. We can test her right now. Right now, ugly. Everything. Oh, you thought you was gonna see something ugly, bitch. You wasn't. But you wasn't.
No makeup.
But you wasn't. Same here. You see what's up? Same here. You see what's up? Oh, okay. So yeah, this raggedy ass fucking bitch.
First of all, now this girl right here that's getting ready to speak, this is the victim's daughter. Now, let me just say this. I wish I would be sitting up there. You got to have a lot of gall and audacity. I wish I would be sitting up there arguing with the victim's daughter, knowing that my son is the one that unalived her dad. This girl saying that when she saw, first of all, it was all done wrong. I don't know how these things work, but I don't feel like, I think that it should have been organized differently. It doesn't usually work that way where both parties coming into the courtroom at the same time. I feel like Remy Ma should have been a time scheduled, or maybe even security or something, to have her come in first or second. They should have came in separately, but somehow they ended up meeting each other on the courtroom steps. I don't even feel like that should have ever happened anyway, because obviously, you know, emotions are high. People are feeling some type of way. So I don't feel like that should have ever happened. But let's listen to what the victim's daughter had to say.
For me, like, girl, like, you would have thought I did something to you. Realistically, I can never speak to my father again. I can never hug him. I can never kiss him. I can never say nothing else to him. You can see your son. You can speak to him. You can hug on him. You can say whatever. The fact of the matter is that I see this fucking lady, and she's looking at me with a whole attitude. When I tell y'all ice grilling, as if her son was the victim. Like, miss, where's your remorse? Like, where's your sorriness? Where's your sadness? Like, at the end of the day, I don't care what I go through with nobody. I would never want to see nobody die. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Like, bitch, nobody did nothing to you, you fucking gremlin. And you really acting like...
No, Remy Ma has more than one child. That one baby that she had that baby with Papoose, but her son, I think, like, when she went to prison, her son was a teenager. Like, he was probably like 14 or 15, I believe. So she does have an older son.
You mad about something, ice grilling somebody, ugly ass. Then you acting tough in front of a courthouse. Like, bitch, we're gonna go to jail. You've been to jail before. I'm sure you don't want to go back, bitch. Like, what are we doing here? Come around the corner. You're really not fucking tough. Like, bitch is mad pussy. Like,
she just don't think. I told y'all in the last video I did about Remy and Papoose is that Remy Ma is an emotional. She has no emotional control. Now we know that because she ended up going to prison back in, I want to say she ended up going to prison back in 2000, and if I'm wrong, let me know in the chat. But I want to say in 2005 or 2006. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I believe that's when she ended up going to prison. But back then, she didn't have any emotional control, because back then she went to prison because she was missing $1,000 out of her purse. She accused her friend of stealing it. Her and her friend got into a verbal altercation at that point, and then it escalated to where she pew-pewed her friend. She didn't unalive her, but she pew-pewed her friend, and I want to say she spent like 8 to 10 years in prison. Now, that's just off the top of the dome. I didn't read I can't remember exactly, but I believe that that's how it went, okay? So at that time, she didn't have any emotional control. How long do you have to... Prison is supposed to be a reformatory type of situation. You're supposed to be reformed when you get out. But you get out and got a whole new baby, new child, and still doing the same shit. Now you sitting out at your big old age, getting ready to fight in front of a courthouse, getting apprehended in front of a courthouse. Now, she was only apprehended for a short period, and I think after that, she was able to go ahead and go into the courtroom. But girl, you know, when are we going to learn? You know what I mean? When are we going to learn? If it were me and I knew that my son had, well, maybe she don't think her son did it. But if there was an inkling that my son may have done something like that to somebody, taking somebody away from their child, taking somebody away from their family, you think I'm gonna be out there arguing with you? If you're looking at me crazy, you should be looking at me crazy. You know what I mean? But she's sitting out here arguing with the lady, calling her ugly and everything else. Like, girl, what, are you okay? Your son is in prison for pew-pewing her daddy. She has every right. 2008. Okay, so she went to prison in 2008. Thank you, sweet queen, for correcting me. She has every right to be upset with you. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like from her account that she really went, you know, she wasn't trying to have no beef with Remy Ma, but Remy Ma she called it ice grilling. I guess that's New York slang. And I'm gonna assume that means like staring her up and down or whatever. So she was doing that to her as if there was a problem. So, you know,
Nah,
it's the audacity for me. I want to read this too. After this incident occurred, the victim's daughter went to her Instagram and posted, gosh, I wish I could see it from behind these. It says hiding behind your lawyer, ASS BITCH. The nerve of this gremlin to be acting like somebody did something to her when that drug addict son is the one who you should be mad at with your, ugly ASS. BITCH, you been to jail, right? So why you acting like you fighting in front of the court is cool, LMAO. You're a clown. You thought this was a bum, BITCH. You was going to come across. Nah, they don't call me Big Jazz for no reason. Really, that girl, I'm really that girl and you're mad. So that's what, there we have it, okay? So that's what happened outside of the courtroom. Let me look at some of y'all's comments. But yeah, they tussled over the, okay, so Roz says they tussled over the pew pew and her friend got hit. She spent 6 years in prison. Okay. But she served 6 years, okay, not 8, because initially I said 8. I was saying it off the dome because I didn't, I was trying to remember. So it was 6 years. So she went to, I'm trying to remember what Sweet Queen. So she went to prison in 2008, and she spent 6 years in prison. Still enough time to not be getting out acting the same way. Still enough time to not be acting a fool. You know what I mean? She learned nothing. Learned nothing. I'm gonna pull this down because I want to read to y'all a little bit of the history of. Let me show y'all a picture of him too, real quick. Let me see. Let me show y'all a picture of Remy Ma son. Handsome young guy. This is, here it is. So this is her son here. His name is Jason Scott. And I'm gonna read exactly what he's guilty of. Again, like I told you guys, it's I gotta be careful with my words. Y'all know that it's an unaliving for hire case. Okay. Let me look at the comments before I get into it. Looking like a fool. I think she's doing something alleged. You're looking like a hot mess, a pure fool out there in front of the courthouse in a throwdown. Okay, so let's get into this article right here that is posted. I think I told you guys, but it's posted on the New York Times not New York Times, the queensda.org. So it says here in this article that was published June 25th of 2024, 2 men indicted in. Now again, this is the document showing why exactly Remy Ma's son is in jail right now awaiting trial. So it says here it's titled 2 men indicted in 2021 unaliving for hire case in South Jamaica, Queens. Okay. June 25th, 2024, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz announced that Jason Scott, who is Remy Ma's son, and Richard Swigert, I hope I'm saying that right, it's spelled Swygert, were arraigned today on an indictment charging Scott, who is Remy Ma's son, with first and second degree unaliving, and Swigert with a second degree unaliving in 2021, pew-pewing unaliving of 47-year-old Darius Gillibo in South Jamaica. Scott is alleged to have been hired to unalive Gillibo. So, okay, so it says that he was hired. It doesn't necessarily say by who here. District Attorney Katz said, "We are charging the defendants with a cold-blooded unaliving on a public street. Pew-pew violence has no place in our neighborhoods, and we will remain steadfast in getting illegal pew-pews and those who use them off the streets of Queens. Scott, 23, of Tier Street, the Bronx, was arraigned today on a 7-count indictment charging him with the unaliving in the first and second degree, 4 counts of criminal possession of a weapon and in the second degree, and reckless endangerment in the first degree. Swigert, who is the accomplice, the other guy that has also been indicted, who is 22, of Harrison Avenue in the Bronx, was arraigned today on the same indictment charging him with the unaliving in the second degree, 4 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and reckless endangerment in the first degree. It goes on to say Scott faces up to life in prison without the possibility of parole if convicted of the top count, and Swigert faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted. Justice Ushir Padgett Durant remanded both defendants and ordered them to return to court on July 31st. Scott was arraigned June 5th on the indictment in a separate case charging him with 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the third degree, and unlawful possession of pistol ammunition. He was arrested May after a search warrant of a home he and 2 others were in on 108th Drive uncovered an unloaded 40 caliber pew-pew semi-automatic pew-pew as well as ammunition. Okay, it goes on to say Swigert, who was the accomplice, was indicted on a separate case in October 2021 on charges of unaliving in the second degree, 2 counts of attempted unaliving in the second degree, assault in the first and second degrees, and 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. He is accused of fatally pew-pewing a 20-year-old Rosendale man, injuring 2 others outside a Kew Gardens hotel in the early morning hours of January 1st of 2021. So Swigert had a whole nother case, okay? The accomplice. It goes on to say he was also indicted in September of 2021 on charges of unaliving in the second degree, assault in the first and second degree, 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, and false personation. He is alleged to have fired at a 22-year-old man in a karaoke bar on August 13, 2021, unaliving him and wounding another individual. According to the charges in the recent case, the statements made in court. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of that, but as you can see, as this particular part here goes, he seems like he's in they got a lot of evidence on him, because when they went to his home, they uncovered evidence, they uncovered ammunition, and then not only that, and they uncovered the pew-pew, but then not only that, but then these 2 idiots, they did this unaliving on a public street in Queens, New York. So they were real bold with it. So Remy, this is the example that you've set, and this is what your son has done. So I really don't think that you have a right to be yelling, screaming, and trying to fight the victim's daughter when your son brutally, viciously, and in cold blood took her father's life. Not only that, you didn't even have a personal vendetta against this man. He did it for money. So well, yeah, I am gonna read this, y'all, because this is important. Hold on one second. Before I get into this, because this shows like some of the evidence. Yeah, I'm gonna read some of that. Let me go to my comments really quick. D-Ham said, Terry Dow facts. I've been heard about Remy's son, but Remy was still trending for other things, and that girl wasn't happy. Sandra said, so basically her son was a hothead, just like his mama. Yep, just like his mama. So he got it from his mama. And she's still acting a fool. How you acting a fool at the court, at your son's court date? Like, it's not registering. Like, he's probably there because of the example that you set. And I normally wouldn't say that, but we know for a fact that she has set that type of example because she was in prison for damn near the same thing. So instead of saying, damn, I haven't set the best example, you at the court date still clowning. You know what I'm saying? Like, This lady is a fool. Let me go up a little bit. Terry said, right, D-Ham, the other girl was also in the wrong too. Let me read this one. I really believe the girl been wanting more attention on her father's unaliving and never was getting that much traction. So the girl antagonized the situation outside the court to trigger a viral moment. I disagree. The reason I disagree is because we don't know that. We don't know that. And I'm not going to say, what I'm going to say is I'll ask you a question. I'll say, why do you feel that the young lady antagonized Remy? Because that's not the story that she's telling. Could she be lying? Absolutely. But I'm curious in understanding why you feel like she possibly antagonized her. And versus believing the story that she gave. Not only that, but also if she is trying to get attention on her father's unaliving, is she wrong for that, or should she not want attention for her father being unalive? Should she not want to bring attention to that tragic situation? Could that possibly be a part of her healing journey? Is that what she's doing in her grief? Does she feel like more people need to know about this celebrity's son that took her father's life? Is this a valid, is it valid? So, I have such a hard time with the victim being blamed here. So I don't know if I agree with that 100%. D-Ham said, I've been heard about this upper. What, the situation with Remy? Or the situation with the daughter? Because the situation with Remy just happened. Now, the situation with the daughter, is possible that she may have been trying to bring attention to her father's unaliving. But the question that I'm asking is she wrong for that? Is that a bad thing? So I don't necessarily agree with that at all. So she was wrong for self-control, but I've been knew that girl was seeking more attention. So what if she's seeking more attention though? So what? Her father was killed. So if she's seeking attention, she's seeking attention. If she wants attention on her father being unalive, she wants attention on her father being unalived. So what? You know what I mean? Like, her father was killed. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I see what you're trying to say, but I just don't see anything. I don't see anything terribly wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see anything terribly wrong with that. And, I've never been in her shoes. So I have never lost a parent in a tragic way like that. And not to mention, it was the son of a celebrity. And sometimes people are granted favor due to their celebrity and due to who they're connected to. So it's quite possible that she may have been trying to bring attention to this situation and speak on it, because it's possible that she was anticipating the court date and she's in fear of this young man getting away with something that he did because of who his mama is. So I wouldn't be, I don't blame her, is what I'm trying to say, if she is doing that. Let's see. So it says, according to the charges in the recent case and statements made in court on June 7, 2021 at approximately 7:55 p.m., Gillibo of Astoria was standing on the corner of 148th Street and Rockaway Boulevard in South Jamaica. About an hour earlier, video. Now Gillibo is the victim. It goes on to say, about an hour earlier, video surveillance shows that Scott and Swigert entered the nearby South Jamaica homes. Video surveillance further shows they were picked up from the South Jamaica houses shortly thereafter in a 2007 silver Elantra with distinctive rear damage, and were dropped off in the vicinity of 146 or 146, 123rd Avenue, close to where Gillibo was standing. Scott, who is the son, and Swigert Yeah. I'm looking at my comments on my other screen. What's going on, Mika? Mika said, I can understand her being hurt about her dad. Did she start with Remy or Remy started with her? That we don't know. I'm sure both of them are going to give two totally different stories because that's how it go. Like the daughter done already said that when she arrived at the courthouse that Remy was what she called ice grilling her. So basically giving her nasty looks, looking her up and down in disgust, I guess. And so she's saying that the nerve of her. Now, Remy hasn't really made a statement as to why she did what she did, but knowing Remy, she probably will. So she probably gonna give a totally different story. I'm sure Remy is gonna come out and say, "Oh no, I didn't like how she was looking at me," or she made comments towards. That's how it worked. So really, unless you was there, you just ain't gonna know. You just not gonna know. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If the girl started with Remy, would she be wrong? Technically, yes, because Remy is not the one that unalived her father. So she would be wrong. But what I will say is I would probably be ready to I'd be ready to rip anybody's head off over my dad or my mom. I don't even care if you didn't dumb to take it out on you because you raised the nigga. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that I'm seeing where she coming from. That's all I'm saying. Whether she might have been right, she might have been, or she might have been wrong. But when it comes to loved ones, sometimes you don't really think rationally. And even if she was saying slick stuff or whatever to her, all I'm gonna say is it right? No, but do I understand? Yeah. Because if I can't get to your son because he's behind a jail cell, you got the closest thing to him. You know. So let's see. Where did it stop? Okay. So then it goes on to say Scott and Swigert can then be observed on video walking from the location to the intersection of 148th Street and Rockaway Boulevard at the time of the unaliving. Immediately prior to the pew-pewing, a red 2018 Honda Elantra made a right turn from Rockaway Boulevard onto 148th Street and drove past Gillibo. Seconds later, Scott and Swigert walked. These niggas they finna spend the rest of their life in jail, in prison. You know what because this stuff, they got surveillance camera and everything. It says seconds later, Scott and Swigert walked toward the intersection and Scott stepped near Gillibo and fired the pew-pew at him. Gillibo collapsed and Scott stood over the victim and fired again. Remy, you have raised a monster. Do y'all hear this? This lady I ain't even gonna say she raised him because she spent a little bit of time during his core years of being raised in prison her damn self. So who knows? And then goes on to say Swigert fired at least 2 shots at the victim. Video surveillance captured the defendants entering into a red 2018 Elantra. Immediately after the pew-pewing, it was seen driving away from the scene of the crime. At approximately 8:15 p.m., a 2017 or 2018 red Elantra pulled in front of the building on Lincoln Avenue in Brooklyn, and Scott and Swigert were observed on video surveillance getting out of the back of the car and entering the building. Scott and Swigert were then observed on video surveillance entering the 2007 silver Elantra with the distinctive rear damage. In addition, Scott's cell phone, they have all types of evidence. These people are, they may as well just close the case. It's a done data. They going to prison. I don't see, because I'm looking at all of this. In addition, Scott's cell phone tracked his movements from South Jamaica houses to the vicinity of the pew-pewing location to Lincoln Avenue in Brooklyn at the times that he and Swigert were observed at those locations on video surveillance. So not only do they have Remy Ma's son and the accomplice on video surveillance, but they could say, oh, well, that ain't me. okay, well, not only can we see that that's you on video surveillance, but now we also can connect your cell phone to your location, showing that you are in that spot. And the video surveillance is also connecting that you are there at that time. So we have two different forms of evidence showing that that was you that stood over this gentleman and pew-pewed him and took his life for a couple of dollars. So it shows here in the evidence that from what they're presenting that it's over with for their asses. Okay, they have all types of evidence right here. So we got the cell phone, and a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people, I don't know what's wrong with people. Like we live, what's going on? Hey sis, what's going on, Harmony? Hey, Boots on the Ground, Cindy Change, Valencia, everybody coming in. I don't know why people don't understand these days. Nothing that you do is gonna be a secret in today's technology field world. Everywhere you go, there is a camera, even if you don't see the camera. Everywhere you go, there's a camera, and not only. Hold on one second, y'all. Give me. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see. What was I saying? So not only is, and if y'all hear that stuff outside, they popping fireworks and stuff already, child. Damn, can we get to Thursday? They popping the fireworks already. But what I was saying is, nowhere that you go is there not a camera. Not only is there a camera, are people ignorant to the fact that there's cameras everywhere, but people are also ignorant to the fact of how far of the view of a camera can go and how wide of a parameter that a camera can. So somebody will try to commit a crime and they'll try to. I remember years ago, this was when I was like, I had just got out of college, and I had moved back home, and I was working in what they call loss prevention. You see people trying to steal and stuff, and they really be looking dead at the camera, but they think that they're out of the view of the camera. People think that people call it blind spots. Child, the parameter that a camera, especially today, is amazing. You can be all the way on the other side of a damn interstate, and it'll be a camera, and they can zoom in. There's no getting away with any crimes if you're doing it, especially on a public street. There's cameras everywhere. If you think that you're gonna go outside, commit a crime, and a camera, somebody's camera. Now we got cameras on people's houses. There's cameras on any business that you go past. There's gonna be a camera. You got the what do they call it? Blink cameras and all of this. So they're everywhere, literally. Not only that, but I remember I don't want to get too far off. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I don't want to get too far off a topic, but I don't know if y'all remember this, but I had actually did a live stream. It was a while ago. It might have been like sometime like late last year or whatever. I did a live stream where I told the title of it is called The Day or the Time I Met Unaliver. And I was talking about my experience when I was in college, and I was cool with this guy. And he ended up driving home because he was from Maryland. He ended up driving home from where we were at school. He drove from there all the way to Maryland, which was hundreds of miles, just to unalive his girlfriend. And the reason he did that was because his girlfriend at home in Maryland was pregnant. And then when he came to school, thank you, Harmony. I appreciate that, boo. The girl that he had met while he was in college was also pregnant. So he decided to go home and unalive the pregnant girlfriend that was at home. Then after he unalived her, he then drove all the way back to the school. he tried to make it seem like he had never been gone. The way that he was caught, this is a real story. I might pull it up for y'all another day, but I already went over the story. His name is Bernard Bellamy. It's all you can Google it. His name is Bernard Bellamy. He was school president and all type of stuff. The reason why he ended up getting caught is because the cell phone towers literally he got tracked. So he drove from our school all the way to Maryland. And when he got to Maryland, he texted his girlfriend and asked her to come meet him at their old high school. The towers pinged off of his cell phone and was able to connect him in that state at that time. He said that he never left the state, but the cell phone towers, the information from the cell towers were able to ping him. Not only that, but it was able to ping, the towers pinged him on his way there. If you have a cell phone, you may as well just go ahead and turn yourself into the police right now, because that's the first thing they're going to look at. They're going to find surveillance footage and they're going to look at cell phone footage. They're going to look at your cell phone activity. They're going to see what's the last thing that you Googled, what your Google activity was, what towers did your cell phone ping off of. That's why most of the time when people are kidnapped or when people commit crimes, they always leave the kidnapper or whoever makes the person leave their phone behind, or the person committing the crime never takes their phone with them because it's a sure way to get caught. So I just think that was so, back to the topic anyway. I just think that was so dumb, just dumb. Okay, so he got caught by his cell phone. Thank you, Boots on the Ground. I appreciate that. Let me see if I can heart it on my other device. Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all's support. So then it goes on to say, let's see. Okay, in addition, Scott's cell phone. Okay, so we read that part already. Gillabo, who was the victim, was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced deceased from his injuries. I don't need to read all of that. That's who's involved in the case. Let me go ahead and look at some of these comments here. Corporate Thuggin said, nothing. Oh, hold on, y'all. Corporate Thuggin said, nothing is secret. Cameras everywhere and our location is being tracked daily. Facts. Let's see. Let me look on this screen because this one ain't doing it. Let me see. Okay. Sandra said, I feel she just has a lot of anger because her dad was unalived in a senseless way. She compared the two situations with Remy. With Remy can still hug. Yeah, she did say they can still hug and kiss her son, but she can't do the same with her dad. D-Ham said, yes, I think Remy's priorities have been all over the place rather than with her. Absolutely, rather than with her kid. See, even Papoose said that. Even Papoose said that she just started. I reached 5. Thank you guys. I just had a goal of 5, you guys. I appreciate y'all. Let me highlight this one. Even Papoose said that she was not very active in the daughter's life until, they started breaking up or they broke up. And then she just started becoming a little bit more involved because Papoose said that she wasn't present during Christmas. She was with her new boyfriend, all types of stuff. So Remy just, I don't know. It's not a good look, boo. Thank you, sweet queen. Let's see what Miss White said. Miss White said snakes are everywhere, like the clown that took down MOE. Is it MOE or is it Mo? I don't know a lot about that situation. In Dallas, Oh, you know what? He was the person that unalived him was captured, right? Because I feel like I remember seeing a viral video of them being stopped on the interstate or something like that. I don't know much about that story. I'm gonna look it up though. It took a while for it to be made public, but they caught how he blocked him off on the. Oh, that's what I saw. The actual unaliving. Okay, so he blocked him off on a busy highway chase all daylight. What? Miss White, text me that so I don't forget, because I'll forget, because I got to talk about something else too. I want to look. I feel like I saw that. Didn't the person that unalived him just recently get caught? I feel like I just saw that recently. It's Mo 3. Okay, Mo 3. Okay, so what are y'all thoughts? I mean, I'm looking at y'all comments, but y'all kind of know how I feel about the situation. I don't have any sympathy at all for Remy Ma or her damn son. I feel like the daughter most definitely should put the stuff on blast. You know what I mean? She probably feels like a small fish in a big pond. Could you imagine if your family member was unalived by a famous person's son? I mean, you automatically are gonna believe that person is gonna get off with, even if they're not. Because we all just looked at the evidence, so it looked like they got it locked and sealed. Okay, like this is open and shut case. That's what it seemed like. But could you imagine if you were just, I don't want to say a nobody, but you're just a regular person, and this is Remy Ma's son. You're gonna automatically feel like it ain't about to go down like how you think it's gonna go down. So I understand why she putting this situation on blast. But and I also want to say, hey, I'm pretty much on her side with this, because even if she was saying slick stuff to Remy or whatever the case is, Remy should have took it like a champ, took it on the chin, been mature, and said, this girl cussing me out because her daddy was unalived by my son, and kept it moving and walked her ass up in that courthouse, because you ain't never, sorry for them fireworks. I don't know if y'all can even hear the fireworks, but it's distracting me. But I would never be sitting up there arguing with the victim's daughter. And there's just no coming back from that. I would never be doing that. Okay, so let me see. Harmony speaks. Yes, the video was just recently. Okay, it was just recently shown the whole internet. To the whole internet while in court. From what I heard, another fellow rapper, Yellow Beezy, wanted. Oh, that's what I did hear about that. Okay, so Yellow Beezy wanted right there, so he could spotlight it. Wasn't he? Isn't he in jail right now? Isn't he like awaiting trial? Yellow Beezy, isn't he waiting trial? DM said, I think Remy should have took that. She should have held her head down and kept it moving, baby. That's what I say. That's what I say. But that's that on that. Moving on to the next topic. Let's talk a little bit. We ain't gonna talk too much about it, but we're gonna talk a little bit about the P. Diddy situation. I had to come live and talk about the P. Diddy situation because I was just live yesterday. I was talking about the Carmelo Anthony stuff, or the Carmelo Anthony recent indictment. And yesterday I told y'all, for those of y'all that was in my live, I told y'all it was about to go down like this with P. Diddy, right? Let me say this before I get into the particulars of the case. First of all, I feel that the media, or not the media, but the general public that is watching this case and they're giving their opinion on this P. Diddy situation, and I even want to say to the blogger Tessa Tales, these people, because I don't agree with anything that she's saying about the situation at all, but these people are blinded by the fact that he whooped that lady behind in that hotel. Now we know that Diddy was wrong for whooping that lady's behind, but this is turning into first of all, it's turning into a witch hunt. if Diddy never gets out of prison, I wouldn't be mad because I don't like what he did to the young lady at that hotel. However, we have to think analytically. We have to pay attention to the what we actually have here as evidence, regardless of what they saying he did or what they saying he didn't do. The evidence does not prove it is not suffice when it comes to what he is being charged with. I knew that the racketeering charge or the RICO charge would be the only one that they would be deadlocked on, because there's not enough evidence that you don't even have to really even know, first of all, who was the enterprise. I'm about to get into these charges in a minute, but when it comes to a RICO stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations. Okay, it's an act that it punishes people for criminal activity, but it has to be like a group situation. Okay, particularly racketeering. Really, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not always right. So correct me if I'm wrong, even though I like to think I am. Didn't that act come about to prosecute like mobsters and stuff like that? This has to do with a group thing. I'm trying to figure out how this at all connects to a RICO. These people are really, really reaching. They're really, really reaching. So because he's rich, because he has all of these connections, or what you want to call his kingdom or his enterprise, and because he has a lot of employees, people that work for him and people that will do what he tells them to do, does not equate to a RICO. I'm trying to still see what they're talking about. What are they talking about there? Okay. It says here, I don't think I should. So, all right. So for those of y'all who don't know, the jurors in the Sean Combs trial reached a verdict on all charges except for one, and that would be the racketeering charge or the racketeering conspiracy charge. Okay. But before this is what I want to do. Because what I was going to do is go down like the particulars of what happened in court. But what I want to do really quick, because just I like to do background. I like to pull up like the actual court doc if I have it. So what I want to do is I want to read over his charges. I'm not even going to read count one, because count one is the racketeering charge. Let's just scroll down and see what else. We know what P. Diddy was charged with, but just let's look at the details of it. This is kind of a long document. It's 14 pages long, so I'm not going to read everything, but let's just skip over the racketeering, right? Let's skip over why he was indicted for racketeering and what the evidence for the indictment was. And let's just go to count two. Now, I also, correct me if I'm wrong again, but I believe that he was found innocent, or not innocent, but they reached a verdict. I'll say that. I won't say they reached a verdict on all counts except for the racketeering charge. So I'll say that. We don't really know what the verdict was. If we do, I haven't seen it, and we don't know exactly what the particulars are behind those the verdicts that they reached. But we do know that a decision was made on everything except for the racketeering charge. So let me pull up this screen so I can see my comments. So count two. Let's see. Yeah, they can't figure it out, Harmony. So count two was the sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion. And it shows victim one. It says I'll start at line 16. From it goes on to say from at least in or about 2009 up and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, the defendant in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that the means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18. And any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in commercial SEX act and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person. It goes on to say victim one and attempted, saying that he attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the victim one to engage in commercial SEX acts. Now we know now from this document, right? So from this document, which was the indictment, we know who victim one is now. Victim one was Cassie. She has not proved that she was forced to engage in any commercial SEX act. Cassie has admitted on the stand, and see, that's the reason why I think it was so easy to reach the verdict on that one right there, because she done set her behind up on the stand and said she was in love with P. Diddy, and she was jealous and upset, and she was doing these things not because P. Diddy was making her do them, but because she was afraid that if she didn't commit these SEX acts, that he would find someone else to do it. That is not a forcible act. Could he have been using his power, his money, and his influence to convince her to do these things? Yes. Could he have possibly created a lifestyle for her that she had grown accustomed to and she was afraid to lose if she didn't do these things? Yes. But she still had the ability to walk away. She made a choice to stay because of the money. That is not the same thing. She had the choice. And when you see the thing about some of these bloggers, when they talking about this situation, is that they get the abuse, the physical abuse crossed with what the evidence is and what the charges are. We know that P. Diddy was wrong for doing what he was doing. He's a complete monster for doing what he was doing. But the truth is what they are charging him with, he did not do. She sat on the witness stand and said she chose to do these things because you're weak-minded. He going to prison because you're weak-minded, because you didn't know how to say no, because you didn't want to walk away from the fame and the fortune. So because you regret busting down for all of them years, P. Diddy got to go to jail because you agreed to be a freak. That's why I said it's turned into a witch hunt. What's really going on? Let me see. Hold on. Let me scroll down because I'm not looking at the comments. Ms. White said, I've seen interviews with real old school mobsters who said Diddy was nowhere near a mobster and would never make it in their world. One of the main rule of thumb is no harm to women. Not only that, but we can't even halfway compare this situation to mob action. I just don't see it. And I've been really looking like, what am I missing here? The only thing, well, I won't say that. Let me look at the next one. So this is victim one in count 2 of the indictment, where it's saying that she was basically enticed, knowingly recruited, provided, obtained, and advertised for SEX act against her will, by means of force, fraud, coercion. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Now, on count 3, transportation to engage in prosty. I don't want to say the whole thing. It says here from at least in or about 2009 up and including in or about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that the individual would engage in prosty and attempted, aided, abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted, willfully caused and the transportation of female victims and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they would engage in prosty. I still don't, now for this one, I understand why they reached a verdict on that one as well, because it can't be proven. This is what I love to say this, because anytime somebody has a question as to why somebody was not convicted of a crime, I always say because it was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That means that if there is, even if they're able to say, but this happened, but A, B, and C happened, and we're pretty sure that A, B, C, and D happened. Okay, but is it a possibility that this could have happened? If you can say yes to that answer, you cannot find someone guilty. There can be no reasonable doubt in your mind that this person is guilty, is innocent at all. You can't say, I'm about 80% sure this person is guilty. You are supposed to be able to say that, and the jury is supposed to be able to agree 100% beyond a reasonable doubt. There is no way that anything else could have happened. No other situation could have taken place. This could not have gone any other way. Beyond a reasonable doubt, this person is guilty. If they can't say that, they cannot find him guilty at all, period. So let me look at my comments. Nola said, I'm sorry, but I don't think there's nothing Cassie wouldn't do for money. Yeah, she was busting it on down for the money. Cassie was afraid. First of all, listen, do you hear some of the stuff that Cassie was letting these male escorts do to her? I'm talking, I don't want my stuff to get demonetized, but she was getting golden showers. She was spreading cream, I'm gonna say nature cream on P. Diddy's nipples. She was doing all type of weird stuff. She was taking baths in hot tubs with baby oil and Astroglide. I mean, she was really, for $1, being made a whole fool out of. Like what? And now what it is you're looking back on those times, and what it is that you're angry that you did all of that for nothing. You did all of that for no reason, because your music career ain't popping. He with a whole nother woman, you didn't get anywhere. You didn't get anything from doing that. So I think that she's harboring some anger within her. Not only that, but she's mad because he was physically abusive, which is understandable. But she wasn't forced to do it. She wasn't able to prove that she was forced to do it. Then let's see. Okay, go down. Okay, now let me just go back up. So those were the other charges, or the other counts. Harmony said, okay, these are the charges: racketeering, conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prosty. Okay, thanks, Harm. And so let me go up and let's just look over the first count. Now, the first count 1, is the longest one. It's the longest charge that he was indicted for, and that is racketeering conspiracy. So it jumps right into the meat of it, okay? It says, for decades, Sean Combs, the defendant, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Okay, goes on to say Sean Combs, the defendant, operated his business headquartered at various times in Manhattan and Los Angeles under a variety of United States-based corporate entities, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, collectively the Combs business. Corporate entities in the Combs business included, among other things, record labels, a recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and company. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and persuasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women. Hey, Auntie P-Mo, what's going on? As a part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his discretion made arrangements for women and commercial ex-workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Now, let me say this. The question must be asked, and I think there was a note passed today in court where the jury is asking, even if, because this is a part of the racketeering charge, right? So even if Combs is distributing these substances to get these people to do what he wants them to do, does it count if these people are willingly participating? These people are willingly holding their hand out and taking these substances. Now that is one of the questions that, or one of the issues that the jury had, because that was on one of the notes that was passed in court today. I also see arson, intimidation, cutting off financial support. If you guys remember, Kid Cudi was on the stand, and Kid Cudi said that the evidence wasn't solid enough to say that P. Diddy blew up his car. Do I think that P. Diddy blew up his car? Absolutely. Absolutely. But can it be proven? I believe I remember Kid Cudi saying that his cameras were turned off, so they don't have that evidence. However, Cassie testified that Kid Cudi, or that P. Diddy told her once he found out that she had a relationship going on with Kid Cudi, that he was going to blow up his car. And Kid Cudi confirmed that his car did blow up. Do I think that P. Diddy did that or hired someone to do that? Absolutely, I do. I believe he hired somebody to do it, or he did it, one or the other, because he also contacted Kid Cudi and told him he was at his house, which is scary as hell. So don't get me wrong. I think that P. Diddy is one sick puppy for sure, but that's not what I'm arguing here. What I'm arguing is whether or not these things can be proven, what he's being charged with. That's my only argument. My argument is not that Diddy is this angel walking on water and he's like this great guy and he should be given these a section. No, I think he's a horrible human being. But I am looking at the evidence though. And everybody is due, their a fair day in court. So regardless of how upset we are with how he beat up, I feel like with how he beat up Cassie, we can't ignore the fact that evidence is surely lacking on these charges, right? So I don't want to be paranoid. I don't want to be like one of those people that are conspiracy theorists, but I want to say that I really feel like all of this stuff was kind of orchestrated from the jump. Like stuff is just with this P. Diddy case just happened so perfectly, like in such perfect order. And with all of these black celebrities that end up going to prison or end up getting in trouble, it always happens the same way. So right before, all of this, they released the footage of him beating down Cassie at the hotel. And he had to come onto his platforms and talk about how he's received therapy, he's received help for what he did. I really think that there's a motive behind all of that. No matter how much they say that the jury is not supposed to be paying attention to social media, the jury is not supposed to take in consideration public opinion or all of these things, they do. They do. And I think that the fact that Cassie was, her abuse was presented so heavily in this case, I feel like they're trying to use that to get him charged on all of these other things. Because when you see the video, it's so disgusting, it's so heinous with how he beat her. I really feel like that video could blind the jury to say, damn near, we don't give a damn. The way you beat her, we're gonna find you guilty of something. That type of shit. You know what I mean? Do I think he's a good person? Again, no. But okay, so Miss White says, let me highlight it. The same people he relied on to help him do bad is the same people he relied on for good in other daily activities that stood out to me, because he didn't have a team for one thing here and another there. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good observation. Harmony says how they skip over Clive Davis and go right to Diddy, because Clive Davis taught Diddy everything that he damn know. He been doing this creepy shit for a long time. I'm still thinking about Jaguar Wright, y'all. I know a lot of people say she's crazy and everything, but it's like, damn, Jag, everything she said has come to fruition. That's an inside joke. But everything has come true, seems like, for the most part. Let me see. Sweet Queen, he didn't do it because it was a woman DNA. Yeah, you know what? I heard that too, that it was a woman's DNA found. So he probably hired somebody to do it, but we knew he hired someone to do it. Sure did. Okay, let me get back over here to this document. Physical abuse. Now they're using the physical abuse aspect because obviously with the whole racketeering charge, there has to be some form of intimidation or something like that. There has to be some form of intimidation to force somebody to do something that they're not really willing to do or wanting to do. So they're using the physical abuse situation between him and Cassie to say, look, he was forcing her. But there are situations where even Cassie said that she left him at a certain point and decided to come back at a certain point. Now we know the mental aspects that come, or the mental health aspects that come along when you're physically abused. You may even start to gain Stockholm syndrome, where you protect your abuser or you can't get away from your abuser. So I understand all of that stuff too. But at the end of the day, legally, I don't think that's going to fly. She stated that she had even reached out and initiated setting up the interactions between herself and the SCX workers. You know, if anything, they should have just let Cassie made the case worse. She really did, because some of the things that she said, albeit she was being honest, you know, really actually helped his case versus hurting his case. And even when the SCX worker was on the stand and he said, you know, Cassie reached out to him. Cassie set up all of these things. Cassie's the one that set up all of the interactions. All of these things, it may be true that P. Diddy told Cassie to set up these meetings, but we would have to prove that. Because if the SCX worker is saying, well, Cassie is the one that contacted me, I only did business through Cassie, that says, well, Diddy wasn't setting it up, Cassie was. And so when Cassie gets on the stand and says, yeah, well, you know, Diddy was telling me to call and set up these meetings with the SCX worker, it was for him, it wasn't for me. You have to prove that. Let's see. Physical abuse by Sean Combs was recurrent and widely known on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects, and kicking them. These assaults were at times witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses, to his abuse and others. So they're throwing words in this indictment. To be honest with you, I don't even know how these charges even got to the point to where he was indicted for it. Because the actual document is so ridiculous. Okay, so even if he did offer money to even if Combs himself did offer money to the security to get rid of the video and he bribed him in that way, let's not forget that this is a RICO. This bribery and all of this stuff is falling under the racketeering charge. So all I'm seeing is what Combs did. How is this involved in a group gang-like, mob-like activity? I don't see anybody else here. The security is not a part of his enterprise. They're really reaching here to get him this racketeering charge, and I'm telling you why. They're trying to get the racketeering charge on this nigga because that holds the longest sentence. He could spend up to life in prison if he's found guilty for the RICO. That's why they trying to put the shit on. They trying to bury this nigga under the prison. They got to have it. They don't want him to get back out. And that's why the prosecution had to include that RICO. They want that shit to stick because if it does, it's a possibility that he will spend life in prison. But from what I am reading in this document, from what I've heard on the court, not heard on the stand, but what's been reported from what's being said on the stand, I don't see anything that says that this qualifies to be a RICO case. How can you say it's a RICO because he's rich and he has a large support team that employees? Because he has an enterprise, this automatic. So anybody with a large team, an enterprise, and that's rich and famous, anytime they commit a crime, we're gonna call it racketeering. Is anyone else? It doesn't make any sense. Even in the paperwork, they're not even included. They're trying their best to reach to include other people in these situations. Like he coerced the security guard. Okay, so now the security guard is a part of his enterprise. What are we talking about here? If anybody was a part of his enterprise, we have to include Cassie as an accomplice. Because she was reaching out to people. She was reaching out to SEX workers. She was a part of it as well. She was setting up meetings. So is Cassie a part of the should Cassie also be in charge with racketeering? Does not make sense. I'm not seeing anything else about any gang activity, racketeering, anything where he is like the kingpin and he's moving all of these people around to work for him. The only thing that I see here is that him and Cassie were in a relationship, and Cassie and him got freaky, and they liked threesomes, and she would set him up sometimes. Now she's trying to make it seem like he was beating her up to intimidate her to continue to do these things. That is not what happened, because that's not what she reported on the stand. I think he's gonna get off. Period, point blank. None of this makes sense. So then let me go down. It goes on to say Sean Combs used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse in commercial SEX. Those employees including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors and other close associates acted as Combs intermediaries. I hope I said that right. And their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. So basically what they're saying is his staff is the reason why this is a RICO charge. This is an abuse of the legal system. They know damn well that he should have never even been indicted for this. He shouldn't even ever been indicted. This should have never gotten in front of the grand jury at all. They're trying to accuse his employees of being a part of the RICO. So, all righty. From at least in or about 2008 through on about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs and others known and unknown were members and associates of criminal organization, members and associates of the Combs enterprise engaged in and attempted to get engaged in, among other activities, SEX trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prosty, coercion, and incitement to engage in prosty, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. So I'm going to stop right there, y'all, with this document. Like I said, I think it's some bullshit. This is not a racketeering case. I predict and I believe, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back and do commentary on it, but I do not believe that P. Diddy is going to be convicted of this racketeering charge at all. Well, we'll see tomorrow, though, and I'll cover it tomorrow. Let's see. Miss White says, Sweet Queen says, with a lot of money and powerful. Sweet Queen says, because he is a black man. I kind of agree to that. I agree. Ms. White says, I too don't agree with his behavior, yet the man is doing the same thing a large group of A-listers is been doing with much clearer evidence. I mean, where's the gander if they have the goose? Yep, that's true. That's true. And that's kind of what Harmony was saying, because Harmony just said, how you skip right over Clive Davis and go straight to Diddy. If anybody should be the head of a racketeering charge, I would put my money on Clive Davis before P. Diddy. Okay. Let me say this too, y'all. What do y'all think that if he does walk and he does get off with these charges, how do you guys think that he's going to interact with his peers? Like, nobody came to visit him in prison. The only person that came was Kanye crazy ass. And Kanye caused so much of a stir when he showed up to court that he couldn't even sit in. And it was just a hot mess, but at least he showed up. No one else celebrity-wise has been there for him. Y'all got to remember how close P. Diddy was to Jay-Z. I want to know if he walks, how he's going to move amongst his peers, and how long it's going to take him to start doing interviews and coming back public again. Because a lot of very embarrassing information has been shared about P. Diddy. I mean, I would be ashamed to show my face. Some of these disgusting details that came out about what he was doing with other men. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much, everything is alleged, but it's pretty much out there now that P. Diddy was a closeted homosexual. I mean, he was a closeted homosexual. So now that information is out. So there's no more hiding. He engaged in sex acts and weird shit with men. What is it going to be like for him if at this point he probably want to go to jail because all of this stuff, all of this embarrassing information has been released, and he lives a very public lifestyle. And I think even if he isn't convicted of these things, he still is going to face his karma for what he did, all these horrible things that he did do. Because something that's horrible doesn't make it illegal. But for all of these horrible things that he has done, I think either if he goes to prison or if he gets let out, either way, he's screwed. Because if he's in prison, then he can't be around his family, so on and so forth. He's going to miss out on the raising of his children, so on and so forth. But if he gets out, he'll get able to experience those things with his family. But he also is unable to live the same life that he lived before. He can't be all out in public and everybody know you was rubbing nature cream on your nipples. You was dipping in Astroglide, getting pissed on. He can't be showing his face. He can't show up to the Rock Nation brunch no more. His peers are going to look at him differently. As a matter of fact, they probably feel like they can't even be associated with him, whether he get out or not. So, I don't know. He fucked himself. Karma got a way of always coming right. Like, us humans, we like to issue the punishment here on earth. But the big man upstairs, you're going to get your punishment one way or the other. So if he get off, he get off. But guess what? He's still going to be punished. He is going to spend the rest of his life miserable. Miserable. Uber rich. But you can't even show your face at a public event because of how embarrassed you are. And even if you don't want to be seen and you want to hide under a rock, you damn near can't because everybody recognizes you. You're one of the most recognizable faces in the world. That's punishment right there. At this, he needs to just fucking move to Africa. I don't know what he needs to do, but his life is over. His life over with, for sure. Hey, Lady Love. What's going on, boo? Lady Love said, hey, Upper and chat, I've been in and out, and Upper, you be speaking facts. Thank you, boo. Why I said his peers is exactly the same. Yeah. And you know what? I ran across this. I'm about to get off in a minute because it's getting late, y'all. But I ran across this article. I want to say it was either early today or yesterday. I can't remember. But I don't know if it was like fake news or what, and I didn't even really look too deep into it. But it said that Jay-Z lost it might have been fake news, but it said that Jay-Z lost his case, defamation case or whatever against Tony Busby. So I don't know how true that is, but I'm about to look into that as well and see. Because I didn't know he actually had a case. I thought he just threatened him and told him, hey, I think Diddy is a very malicious person. He has a cake baked for him, baked for all of them who don't speak up for him. Not a cake baked. Not a cake baked for them. Yeah. Somebody actually asked one of I was watching the what's his name? Cameron from the Diplomats. He has a podcast. It's really funny too. I like it. He has a podcast and he was asking the SEX worker, like, do you fear for your life if he, doesn't do any time, or if they let him out, they find him innocent? Do you think that he's going to retaliate against you for testifying? And so the SEX worker was like, no, not really, because if you think about it, everything that I said worked in his favor, because I told everybody that I was hired to do a job. I was hired to sleep with Cassie. And I also let everybody know that the only person that I was in connection with and communication with was Cassie, meaning that Cassie set up all of our meetings. Cassie is the only person I ever talked to. Cassie's the only person that ever contacted me. He never even had contact with P. Diddy. As a matter of fact, he said that he would go, I want to say he said 3 to 4 times a month. Or, he would come out there to meet up with Cassie. They would engage in actual activities in front of P. Diddy. But he told Cameron that he didn't even know it was P. Diddy for the first year and a half. So he was meeting up with Cassie for almost a year and a half, doing what they do. And he was only making a few $1,000s from it, but doing what they do. And all of that time, he didn't even know it was P. Diddy. And P. Diddy would be sitting there watching them. But he would have a veil over his face, so he couldn't tell who he was. So who's to say how that happened? He's testifying that Cassie is the one that set it up. So, hey, we shall see. We shall see. I will be back tomorrow. If I'll be back tomorrow if anything significant happens, or not. Well, we know something significant is going to happen, unless they have a hung jury or a deadlock jury, which I don't think is. Well, I ain't gonna say I don't think it's going to happen. I think that it could happen, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see, because there are a few jurors that are unpersuadable, basically meaning that they're unwilling to change their mind on what they've decided. So unless that is going to change tomorrow, I don't see. I can definitely see it is a high probability of it probably being a deadlock jury. So we'll see. Let me see. We shall see. I also read something about juror number 25 as being difficult, and they passed the third note in court, basically saying that they don't believe that juror is willing to follow the legal process of what he needs to do, basically, to reach the proper verdict. He's not willing to follow the rules. So they have an issue with the 25th juror. Yeah, so life as he knew it will never be the same in or out of incarceration. Never. It doesn't matter. I ain't gonna say it don't matter, but whether the nigga go to prison or not, his life is fucked. Like I said, it's over with. It's over with. You can't even look your kids in the face the same way. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if he's gonna do interviews and stuff. We'll see. Y'all, I'm getting the yarning and stuff. I'm tired. How long we've been live? Almost 2 hours. Thank y'all for kicking it with me. This is a pretty good live. I enjoyed myself. I'm gonna say 9 times out of 10 I'll be live tomorrow. I won't make no promises because I think I might have a busy day tomorrow, but 9 times out of 10 I'll probably be back tomorrow to react to whatever the verdict turns out to be, whether or not they even reach a verdict, or if they have a hung jury or a deadlock jury, I'm gonna come back and speak on it 9 times out of 10. Okay. So thank you for kicking it with me tonight. I appreciate everybody for your support. All the super chats, super stickers, I appreciate that. For those of you guys who were unable to give a super sticker or a super chat, I appreciate your presence in my live. I appreciate your view. Don't forget to like before you leave, because that helps the algorithm. That's really, really important. Also make sure that you subscribe to my channel. If you new here, you in the bushes or something, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm pretty cool. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Peace.